Hello, I'm Mr. Chu. You are welcome to my study room. Today we'll be treating quadratic inequalities, how to solve quadratic inequalities. Quadratic inequalities are just like quadratic equations, except for the fact that instead of an equal to sign, they have the inequality sign. So, for example, instead of having instead of having ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, they rather have ax squared plus bx less than 0 or ax squared plus bx plus c greater than 0 or ax squared plus bx plus c less or equal to 0 or ax squared plus bx plus c greater or equal to 0. These are quadratic inequalities. Another difference between quadratic inequalities and quadratic equations is that for quadratic equations, it has two solutions, but with quadratic inequalities, there are a range of solutions, meaning that there are a number of values that can satisfy the solution. So now, how do we solve quadratic inequalities? How do we solving quadratic inequalities? All right. So we can solve quadratic inequalities using two main methods. We can solve it by using a table where we put in the various intervals and using the appropriate figures to satisfy each condition. And the one that satisfies the inequality sign becomes the answer. Or number two, we sketch the graph of the function, the quadratic function, and shade either above the x-axis or below the x-axis, depending on what the question gives us. And in today's lesson, I'm going to use this second method, which is the sketching of the graph and shading the appropriate region. And in the next lesson, I'll be using the table. So let's go. How do we solve quadratic inequalities by sketching? There are three quick tips we have to note when we want to solve quadratic inequalities by sketching. The first one is that we find the roots of the functions. Find the roots of the quadratic function. Good. So that's the first rule. And when we say the root of the quadratic function, we mean the x value. When you solve a quadratic equation, the x values, you get the two values. And these values tells us where the graph will cut the x-axis. These two values tell us where the graph will cut the x-axis. Then the second thing we need to know is to determine the nature of the curve. And the nature of the curve here, we want to mean whether the curve is has a maximum turning point or a minimum turning point. We want to determine whether the curve has a maximum turning point or a minimum turning point. And as I am sure we remember from the quadratic equation lessons, a curve that has a maximum turning curve looks like N, is N-shaped, and this is the turning point. So maximum turning point. And to have a curve look like the N shape, it means that the A is less than 0, or it is negative. The A, which is the coefficient of the x squared, is negative. Or the second shape is the graph will look like U, which means it have a minimum turning point. And here it means that the coefficient of x squared, which we are calling the A, is greater than 0. Then the third point to note when sketching is for us to shade the appropriate region depending on the inequality sign given. Shade the appropriate side of the x-axis. Good. So with these 3 points, the values that fall within the shaded region become the solution for our question. So let's take one question and see how we will apply these 3 points in solving them. So let me quickly clean the board. All right, so let's take question 1. Question 1 says, find the solution set of 3x squared minus 19x plus 6. Let me just write my 6 well. Plus 6 less than 0. Good. So this is the question. Find the solution set of 3x squared minus 19x plus 6 less than 0. So we are going to take back that first point, which is to find the root of this function here. So that we'll have 3x squared minus 19x plus 6 equal to 0. And as we know from solution for quadratic equations, our A is 3, our B is negative 19, and our C is positive 6. So our A times C is going to be 3 times 6, which will give us 18. And here we are looking for 2 factors of 18 that when we add, we are going to get negative 19, which is our B. And these factors are negative 1 and negative 18. So you can see that here -1 times -18 will give us +18, which is our AC, and -1 plus -18 is going to give us -19, which is our B. So we are going to use this -1 and -18 to replace our -19 here for us to get 4 terms. Then we can factorize. So this is just an addition to, we are not supposed to be doing all of this under quadratic inequalities, but I appreciate the fact that some of you might be having challenges with solving quadratic equations. So I decided to just sneak this one in. But maybe after example 1, we are just going ahead to find the root quickly without going through all these long processes, and then we go ahead so that even if you are factorizing on your own and you're having challenges, you can just replay the video for this question 1 and then look on it to do the others. Or more appropriately, we have a complete lesson on how to solve quadratic equations using the factorization method so that we can break it down to our understanding. So let's continue. Our equation here now becomes 3x squared minus x, because it's 1x. I don't want to write a 1. So minus x minus 18x, then plus our 6 now, equals 0. We group them 2, 2, and then we factorize out. So we are going to have x is the common factor here. So we have x out. We have 3x, sorry. We have 3x minus 1. Then minus the common factor here is 6. So 6 out. We have 3x minus 1. Remember, this plus has changed to this minus because of the negative sign here, equals 0. So let's continue. So now to factorize, we group the outside one, x minus 6 here. And then we pick one of the common ones, which always have to be the same. We pick just one of them to be 3x minus 1 equals 0. So equating each of them to 0, x minus 6 equals 0, or 3x minus 1 equals 0. So that means our x will be equal to 6, or positive 1/3. So it means that our curve is going to cut the x-axis at 1/3 and then 6. So let us now draw our axis where we sketch our curve. So by this, we have finished the point 1 among the 3 points we discussed earlier. So let's put this. This is our 0. Remember, this is our x-axis. This is our y-axis. So we have 0. Both of them are positive, so they will be to the right. Obviously, 1/3 is less than 6, so it will be to the left, and 6 will be to the right of that. So we go to the point 2, which is for us to find the nature of the curve. And like we stated earlier, by this our question, our a here is +3, which means it is greater than 0. So our curve is going to be a minimum turning point. So it will be U-shaped. You just sketch and let it cut at the 2 places. So here we have finished our second point. We go to the third point. We say we shade below the x-axis if the inequality sign is less than, and above if the inequality sign is greater than. So in this case, our inequality sign here is less than. So for that matter, we are shading below the x-axis. So it means that our x are the values between 1/3 and +6. So that becomes our answer. So because we should find the solution set, we are going to conclude that therefore x is such that, remember the numbers are between 1 over 3 and 6, so x is such that 1 over 3 is less than x, which are the set of our values or our range of values, which are also less than 6, and this becomes our answer for this question 1. All right, so this is an instance where we are shading below the x-axis just because our curve is our inequality sign is less than. So what about if it should be greater than? What are we going to have? What about if it should be greater than? So we are going to solve the same question, but now changing the sign to greater than, where we will be shading above the axis. So here, for us to save time, let me just quickly clean just a sign so that the question will now read, find the solution set of 3x squared minus 19x plus 6 greater than 0. Thank you. So here, all the steps are the same. Step 1, because it's the same function, zeros are going to be, all the solution for the function is going to be 6, and then 1 over 3. And then when we go to step 2, the nature, because our a is still positive 3, our curve will be u. Our curve will be u. So that one too, there will be no change. But now it is our shading which will be different. Here it is our shading which will be different. So let me work on that quickly. That now, good. Let me just sketch the whole curve again, which is U shape. This way. Good. But now, because our sign is greater than, which is 0.3, we are going to shade above the x-axis. So this part of the curve, but above the curve open towards the top of the x-axis. So we'll have to shade this region too, because this is also part of the curve, unlike the down one where it is just a continuous graph. But here it has opened, so we have to shade both sides. So it means that the shaded region which move towards the left, our x is here, and then again move towards the right, our x here, which are the range of values we are looking for. So therefore our answer becomes x is such that all the values here are what we are calling x. So, and they are to the left of 1 over 3. So it means that x is such that x is less than 1 over 3, or remember here is not continuous, so we will have two separate range of values, or this set of values which also represent x greater than 6, because the values are to the left of 6, and on the number line, any number to the values are to the right of 6, and on the number line, any number to the left of a number is less than that number, and also to the right of a number is greater than that number. So all the values to the right of 6 are greater than 6. So this becomes our answer if the sign was to change to greater than. All right. Then let's take another question to help us understand the whole thing well. So here, question 2 is find the set of values. Let me just wipe the whole board quickly. All right, so question 2. Find the set of values for which one plus 2x minus 3x squared greater than 0. All right. So here, because I know some people might be having problem with the arrangement, because absolutely this is our C, this is our B, and this is our A. But some people might be thinking the first number is always the A. No, the A is not necessarily the first term. The A is the coefficient of the x squared. So it doesn't matter where the x squared term is located. But for the sake of those who might be having challenges understanding this, let me quickly rearrange it so that we have negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 1 greater than 0. It's the same thing. We have just brought the first term first, second term, and then the third term last. So it doesn't change anything. So you remember the steps. The first step, we are going to find the zeros, but only that for the sake of time, this time, we are not going to factorize doing all the steps, but we are just going to write the factors quickly. So here, the factors will be negative 3x. When you factorize, you get negative 3x minus 1, and then x minus 1 be equal to 0. So when you equate each of them to 0, you are going to get x be equal to negative 1 over 3 or 1. So these two values are going to tell us where our graph is going to cut the x-axis. So let's quickly sketch our graph. All right. So here one is negative, this is our 0. Remember, this is our y-axis, and this is our x-axis. So remember, all negative numbers are to the left of the y-axis. So we'll put our negative 1 over 3 comfortably here. And then all positive numbers are to the right of the y-axis. So we have positive 1 here. Then let's go to our point 2, which is the nature of our curve, or the nature of our turning point. And here, our A, this is our A, negative 3, which is less than 0. So it means that our curve is going to look like N. So maximum turning point, we sketch our curve this way to pass through the 2. Then we go to our point 3, which is to shade the appropriate region. And here is greater than, so we are shading above. So the set of values for which 1 plus 2x minus 3x squared is greater than 0 are x is such that they are between negative 1 over 3 and 1, because that's the region we have shaded. So it's going to be x is such that negative 1 over 3 is less than x, is also less than 1. Then we close our bracket. So this is our answer. Then again, if you want to try for the sign, turning the sign, that one we are going to have this. So now our question is going to be negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 1. Instead of the greater than, it's now going to be less than 0. All right. So again, we are going to have the same factors. It is the same function this way, or x minus 1 this way equals 0. So our x is going to be negative 1 over 3 or positive 1. So we quickly sketch our graph. And then we locate our values, just as I explained earlier. This way is the same function, so the curve will not change. It's going to have a maximum turning point this way. But here now we are shading beneath because it's less than, so we shade below the x-axis. So we shade this region, and these are our x values along the x axis. So therefore, our set of values are going to be x is such that x, they are to the left of -3, so x less than -1/3, or remember it's towards the open end of the curve, so it cannot continue. We have two separate range of values, or x greater than +1, because the x are the values to the right of 1. So this is it. Yeah, all that we have done for this less than and greater than can happen for less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So let us try our third example using less than or equal to see if we are understanding is okay. So let's quickly take that. So question 3, we have to find the set of values. Find the set of values for which 6x² minus x is less or equal to 15. All right. So here, there's a small change in example 3. The fact that the c is to the right of the inequality sign instead of 0. So that one is very easy. We just move it to the left so that we'll have 0 to the right. So our expression or the inequality now becomes 6x² minus x minus 15. Remember, it's now to the left of the sign, so there's positive will change to negative, less or equal to 0. Now, good. So if you take your time and you factorize, you are going to get two factors, which are 2x plus 3 and then 3x minus 5, which should be equal to 0 because we are finding the values of x. So when we equate each of them to 0, our x is going to be either -3/2 or +5/3. Good. So again, this is step 1 or tip 1. So this is going to tell us that this is going to show us where the graph will cut the x-axis. So let's sketch our axis quickly. Our x-axis here, our y-axis here, and the negative one will be to the left of the y-axis, so -3/2, and then the positive one, +5/3, will be to the right because it is positive. Then number 2, the nature of the curve. This is obviously minimum turning point because our a is +6, which is greater than 0. So our curve will look like U. All right, thank you. So here, point 3, shading, less or equal to, so we shade under, just like less than. So our values are between -3/2 and 5/3. That means our x is such that -3/2 is supposed to be less than, but because here we have the bar under, less than or equal to, so we just bring the bar under to satisfy that, meaning that it's inclusive. X also less or equal to 5/3. So I hope you can try on your own for the other one when you change it to greater than or equal to, and see whether you'll be able to to work it out. So this is where I bring today's lesson on how to solve quadratic inequality to an end. But before I end, let me just give you some few questions to go and try your hands on as you check. So just spend me the next 2 minutes to take the questions. So try the following questions. All right. So find the set of values for which each of the following are true. Find the set of values for which each of the following are true. And the question one is x squared minus 5x plus 6 less than 0. Then number two, we have 3x squared minus 19x plus 6 less or equal to 0. 3 is 5 minus 3x minus 2x squared greater or equal to 0. Then let's take the last one, question 4. 3x squared minus 19x plus 6 greater than 0. So try these questions. If you don't understand anything, just play back this video step by step and get it, and I hope you just get it well. So these are the questions for you to try. All right. So thank you very much for your time with me in my study room. I hope to see you next time here again. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like, and share for your friends to join. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.